Giving and accepting criticism are almost a way of life in the art community. Whether you're a hobbyist, a student, or a professional, being able to engage in peer review allows your art to grow with the help of an outsider's point of view. But is there a right way to criticize artwork? Criticism is any feedback given to artwork that points out its flaws. While this initially sounds like a bad thing, criticism allows artists to grow and learn from their mistakes. A majority of artists don't realize that their perspective on any one piece of art may differ from their audience. Not only is art subjective, but it is easy for us to overlook anatomical flaws or poor use of design decisions due to personal bias. Criticism is important because we tend to be more critical of work that isn't ours, especially when we have the advantage of being able to look at a piece with fresh eyes. We can't get these first impressions when looking at our own art, and it's why we often look to peer review to better ourselves. There are generally two types of criticism you may come across. Constructive criticism aims to help the artist better their craft by pointing out flaws and ways the artist can improve, whereas destructive criticism usually resorts to insults and makes fun of the art rather than analyzing it. For example, let's look at this piece. Let's look at two separate criticisms that could be posted about this character strictly from looking at the art given to us. I like that you use the 3-color rule here. It makes the character really appealing to the eyes, and even if the colors are unnatural, they're not overwhelming and they work together. However, the feet don't look correct. The shoe looks like it's bending at an unnatural angle and their perspective just looks wrong. The paw pad on the hand also looks flat and like it's just pasted on top of the hand. I recommend using references when you're drawing subjects from new or different angles. While I think the style is cute, I don't like that the character is fat or that he's a furry. The anatomy looks okay. Try drawing stuff that people will actually care about and don't waste your talent on this kind of art. Even if both comments point out both flaws and qualities of the art, which one gives the artist more advice on how to improve? At the risk of being accused of presenting a straw man argument, believe it or not, destructive criticisms such as this one do exist. My comment section is testament to that. Giving criticism like this doesn't help an artist or give them anything of value to apply to their work. Destructive criticism, even if worded politely, is defined as criticism that doesn't offer the artist any way to improve. Destructive feedback usually doesn't target technical skills, but rather the subject of the drawing or the artist behind it. Criticism like this is often given to either upset or make fun of the artist, or is simply offered by people that don't know how to give feedback. So what about people that actually want to see the person in question improve? Well, let's look at one method of peer review, the criticism sandwich. What is a criticism sandwich? When criticizing art, it's usually smart to point out both flaws and qualities of any given piece. This allows the artist to grow in two ways. It reinforces what they're doing correctly, as well as pointing out what needs to be fixed, revised, or changed in their future works. The criticism sandwich is described simply: what you like about the art, what you don't like about the art, and what you like about the art again. Let's try to give criticism using this method, and see just how effective it is. Keep in mind, we'll be criticizing the art solely based on technical skills, and not the subject of the piece. This will allow us to remain unbiased in our critique. Let's look at two pieces of artwork with different intentions and compositions to test out this method. Our first piece comes from Voltaic on DeviantArt. Right off the bat, I noticed that this character has a very simple palette of about 3 colors, muted black tones, and a saturated blue and purple. I like the way I'm drawn to the face of this character, especially because the pale blue sticks out against the black of her visor. However, I feel like it takes attention away from the action of the picture, her casting a spell. I recommend using another pose to draw attention to the magic between her hands. You could also saturate the spell more so that the viewer's eye is drawn to it. The shading also feels too blended, and without hard edges, the form and shapes of the character aren't well defined. I feel like the purple is very saturated and would benefit from being more subdued, like the grays and blues used in this piece. That being said, this piece is very legible. I'm able to look at it and understand what pose the artist is trying to convey and what the character is meant to be doing. The background is easy on the eyes, and the words do not detract from the piece and benefit from placement near the face of the character. The piece benefits from the composition, as my entire eye is drawn towards the upper right of the picture where most of the interesting parts of the drawing are. Overall, this artist shows potential and a lot of room to grow. With a little direction, their art would display more readability and depth of form, which is important in illustrations like this one. Let's review one more piece to show how much we can do with this method. Our next piece of art depicts a whole scene instead of a standalone character on a single color background. Our next piece comes from Marcy Behr, also from DeviantArt. The first thing that I noticed when this piece was shown to me was the ambition that the composition shows. A lot of artists are initially scared to make that leap into illustrating full scenes, and I think this is a great example of an artist that tries new things, especially when compared to the rest of their gallery. Branching out of your comfort zone is one of the most important traits to have as an artist, as it allows you to widen your skill set, whereas practicing in one area does not. The warm colors of the background complement the cool colors of the window glass, especially with the use of yellow and purple. I think where this piece ultimately becomes undone is when we look at the perspective. Not every piece of the drawing lines up perfectly, and different areas of the drawing don't appear to be proportionate in relation to each other. For example, the rightmost arch windows look extremely distorted when compared to its opposite. I also think this piece would benefit more from straight lines. Everything in this scene is curved or at an angle, which makes the background look skewed or warped. It also makes it appear as if the characters themselves are floating rather than grounded. To fix this, I recommend placing down a perspective grid when planning out your background. In any case, this is a spectacularly ambitious piece of art that shows a lot of promise for the artist behind it. I think with some life drawing and technical practice, future pieces will really shine when it comes to those that feature entire scenes like this one. So what am I saying? Should all criticism be wedged between compliments? Well, not necessarily. If someone gives well-worded criticism that only points out flaws, that doesn't mean that criticism is destructive. No one has to coddle artists when criticizing their work. Artists, especially those going into the industry, need to get used to having their work being ripped apart and analyzed critically. However, strictly flaw-based criticism tends to gloss over what the artist did do right, and gives the artist the impression that nothing they did in their piece was correct. Using the sandwich method, or at least pointing out both flaws and qualities, allows you to criticize art in two ways. It allows you to help the artist recognize what areas they're weak in so that they may adjust their art accordingly. But it also reinforces their strengths. This allows an artist to know what they're doing right so that they can spend less time backtracking and more time focusing on the weaker areas of their art. A big complaint in regard to the sandwich method is that wedging the negatives in between the positives often makes it so that the negative feedback gets lost in what feels like fake compliments. The artist on the receiving end of the criticism will also tend to forget the positive feedback given to them. This is a valid criticism, especially when you consider that people often give compliments just to make the negative feedback easier to swallow. While the criticism sandwich isn't perfect and has its downfalls, it still brings up a valid part of criticism that is often ignored. That being pointing out what was done correctly in any given piece of media. By taking parts of this method and applying it to your own personal style of critique, you can deliver more effective feedback to your favorite artists and people you wish to see improve in any given craft. What do you guys think? Is the criticism sandwich worth a look over, or should we stick to flaw-based criticism instead? I've seen a lot of debate on either side, and I'd love to hear your opinion on the matter. Feel free to leave your comments below or check out the link to the discussion journal in the description. As always, keep on creating and stay sweet. Hi there guys, I'm just tacking on a quick update onto this video to bring you guys up to speed after a slight hiccup in my uploading schedule. I'll be doing my best to upload about 2 videos a month, whether they be speed paints, builds, or art talks like this one. By popular demand, I've opened up a Discord server for my subscribers to hang out in. The link can be found on my DeviantArt page in the description below. An idea I wanted to bring up to you guys was the possibility of a Patreon. I invest a decent amount of money and free time into this channel to bring you guys content I think you'll all enjoy. While I never intend to put my content behind a paywall, I produce a lot of unpolished work and works in progress that I feel would be best suited for Patreon. Through pledging, I'd be able to provide my patrons with scripts, digital sketchbooks, doodles, and high-res files of my artwork. My question is mainly, is this something you guys would like to see out of me? Feel free to leave your feedback and opinions down in the comment section below. It really does help me bring you guys better content. Until next time!